We're working here on, in this case, I call it the Dover Star. It has several other names that you'll see. But the first thing we're going to do is sew our strips together according to our pattern. This pattern happens to be the counting stars. And so we're going to cut as directed here on the diagonal here. And we're going to cut 8 of these little pieces right like this. So we're going to cut one strip into these 8 pieces here, and then we're going to go to the next strip, which are going to go the opposite direction. Okay, now we're going to cut these in the opposite direction. So what you'll see is this one is cut so that the angle goes this way, so the pink is on top. This one, the cut goes the opposite direction, so the pink is on front. And you can verify that you're doing the right thing because we want both of our pinks together. And so if you put them like this, you know you're doing the right way. So it's a good way to verify your cut. Because that's how we're going to put them together here. So again, you're going to measure down, make sure you have your right measure here, and then we're going to start cutting these, and we're going to cut 8 more of these. Again, what I have done is whatever my measure is here, I measure it down the diagonal, so 1 5/8. Make sure that that line is at 1 5/8 as well. So make sure that you cut these so that they're nice and pretty, and you end up like this. And then we'll talk about how we're going to put all these together to finish up our star. All right, our next step here is we're going to put together the triangles here. And we're going to take our square, put our triangle up against it, always match the corners here. And the nice thing is I cut these quite large so that we can trim them down and not get stuck on a point. So we're going to make a few of these to go with this. I'll do these in pairs. You'll actually need 4 pairs or 4 sets of these. But we'll do 2 to begin with just so you see how they're done. And this way I don't have to start my leader again. So your first one is like this, okay? And then we need to press this toward the dark side, okay? Always love doing that, kind of going toward the dark side here. And now we're going to put our next piece on. And this one is going to match up the corner here, like so. And you want to make sure that you've got it lined up nicely. We're going to go from the corner to the point. Okay, and this will come out and show you nicely here. So we have this. This is our next piece here. And we're going to trim this down so that you've got 1/4 inch between here and here. And so that way when you, there we go. I'm going to find on my ruler this diagonal so that we make sure we keep that diagonal nice. People, I don't think, use their rulers well enough. And we put that 1/4 inch mark right there. And we trim off a little of this excess. So now we have a piece that's ready to go into our next piece. Now we're going to start putting our V's together here, and we're going to match these 2 pink sides because that's what we want to have as far as our pairs go. So I'm going to put together all the pairs here, and then we'll work on adding it from there. And there are multiple ways to do this after this. Now when I feed these, I like to feed them so that the dull end of the point, so to speak, is coming through, not the sharp end. And we'll go through and match the rest of these up. Okay, now I have put these together and I have trimmed off the tails here because we don't need them, but I have pressed it again towards the dark. So it's kind of going, everything's kind of going this direction. Now we're going to match these together and we're going to make 2 pairs. So you're going to kind of match your points up here. Now when I do this, the most important thing is your centers. So these should nest like so. And if they're nesting like so, then you just kind of pull your piece over here and make sure your edges are working for you. Okay, and we're going to sew these together. the same thing here. Again, nesting the seam, and you try and do everything identical to the first time. So last time we sewed on this side, so this time we're going to sew on this side. And when we do this, what you want to do is put your needle down right here on that seam, so that you're kind of starting at the right spot. And we'll eventually back a little of this out. All right, so now we have 2 pieces, and they are looking pretty good here. These 2 pieces are halves, and again, we're going to put them together, kind of matching our seams here, and one should be pressed one way, and one should be pressed the other way. And what we want to do is each time, to make sure this works really, really, really well, is I like to start here in the center again, right on that seam. And when you start on the center, it tends to come out a little bit prettier. Some people will tell you to stop 1/4 inch, and I probably tell you that in the instructions. I tend to back the stitches out later, just because stitches tend to pull out on their own, whether you like it or not. And now we're going to do the same thing on this side, again, starting right here. Okay, and I'm going to sew towards this side. And what we should be left with, if everything turned out okay, is a pretty decent looking star here. You know, will it be absolutely perfect? Maybe, maybe not. And it depends whether you want your light or your dark on the inside or outside. You can flip these around. But the important thing is when you go to do this, that you kind of work on, you may need to pull out a stitch or 2, which I'm going to do right here because it came over by a little bit. You are going to, there we go, that's the spot I want. When you do this, okay, whoops, got to flip this way. That one's got to go that way. When you do this, and this shows much better with batiks. When you do this, okay, I'm pressing down here pretty hard, you get all your seams to kind of spin. So this one's going to go this way, that one goes that way, that one goes that way. So you're this one, this one, this one, this one. They're all spinning, and when I press this, it'll press down really flat and enable you to have a flatter center instead of a bump in the middle of it. Makes it easier when you quilt. Okay, we have this printed, you know, all flattened out here, and you've got your little triangles we're going to stick in here. Now, you may be tempted to go here and go, oh my God, it doesn't fit. You are correct. It won't fit there. It will fit on this side. So make sure that you're putting it in the right spot. If it looks like it's not going to fit, it's probably because you've picked the wrong spot. And I'm going to back a couple of stitches out here. And you're going, why are you backing stitches out? Because I want to get a free 1/4 inch here. So I'm going to back out a stitch or 2. Okay, there we go. So that we get to that 1/4 inch mark. Okay, it should loosen it up. There we go. And I'm going to stitch from here to the point. Okay, so from the edge to the point. Whoops. And this is where you really do want to start at that 1/4 inch in. Okay, so if you have to put a dot there, that's fine. I'm going to do an eyeball on it because I'm been doing enough of these. So I'm going to put this like this. Okay, so we've got this one side on, and now we have to put the other side on. So it's folded like this, and you're just going to put this side down, and you'll have to pull the other side out just a smidge, okay, so that it'll lay nice and flat. So you'll see here, it'll lay nice and flat against this edge. See that? And so now we are going to press this side, or sew this side on, excuse me, not press, it's sew. So we're going to sew this side together. And again, pull it in nice and tight. If you need to pin it, that's fine. But you want to make sure that you get that 1/4 inch right there. So sometimes it's easier once you put the needle down. And pull this over like so. Okay, use your needle to your advantage. Okay, we're going to try this again. Okay, we're going to try this again. Just to show you, whoops, I already started in the wrong spot. Go in a 1/4 inch, right about there. You're going to match your points up here, because if you've trimmed it, it should come out pretty sweet. Okay, and then we're going to flip to this other side, like so. Oops. And you can tell if you don't have your 1/4 inch right there. See, it's still got that little spot right there. That doesn't give me a free 1/4 inch, and that will cause you to pucker. So I'm going to back this stitch out just a little bit right here. Okay, there we go. Because that will make sure that we have that good looking 1/4 inch, because that's what you want. It's that good looking 1/4 inch so that your points match up again. And I think I'm out of bobbin, so we'll be right back. Okay, so we're back to where we were earlier. Okay, we have taken our piece. So we've sewn on the one side. Pull this around. Make sure you've got that nice 1/4 inch right there. So it'll lay nice and flat here. Match up your edges, because if you've trimmed it down, it should look pretty. Put your 1/4 inch in. There we go. And voila. There we go. Here's the next one. So I'm going to work my way around and do the rest of these. So when we get done, this is what we're going to have here. This nice little piece here. So I'm going to work on adding now our corners, which is that last step that we have. I have not trimmed any of my tails yet. I kind of wait till the end to trim my tails, just because, you know, if you need to back something out, you don't want to end up with a little bit of a mess. So we'll go from here. Okay, we have put this together with our little piece triangles. Now we have to put our squares in, and they'll fit right in here. Now, just like we did last time, you're going to take that out by 1/4 inch. I've probably gone a little further than 1/4 inch there. I'm going to put this in here, and I'm going to have it kind of overlap a little. It'll go in just a little bit past that edge, because I want to make these parallel, which will help a lot here. Going down right there. Okay. And now we're going to flip that out. Flip this over. Okay, I'm going to do this again for you. I've sewn the seam from the edge out. You're going to flip this down, turn it, flip it over. Okay, and now we're going to match this up again. And here, again, you're going to work on making sure, okay, we're going to lay it flat. So if you can lay that flat, you're doing really, really well. So we've got our edge here. We've made sure that those align up. Now here, if you're pretty confident and you want to clip that to be sure, now you know that it's going to fit. That's all fine. And we're going to come back here and right on that seam. So that seam is a good spot, because that's your 1/4 inch. You know that's 1/4 inch on that seam. And you're going to come through like this, being careful here when you go over that, because you don't want it to bump up. And voila, your first corner is in. And we're going to repeat this around, and then I'm going to press it and you can trim it, and we'll go from there.